Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's Weekly Market Update for week of February 20th, 2017. Now, this week what we're doing is looking at the difference between condos and houses and how those differ and what that means to you in a very fast-changing market. So that and more coming up right next. So, though it may not feel like it outside, it is the spring market in at least real estate terms. And let's jump right into what's happening so far in February. We've got 315 condos listed on the west side of Vancouver, with 266 of those condos selling, leading us to an overall inventory of 659 condos on the market. Now, what do all those numbers mean? We are seeing that 47% of sales are happening at or above asking price. So we haven't seen much change in inventory from the month prior, so there's not enough replenishment yet happening market. We're still supply constrained, but we're seeing a lot more of an activity amongst buyers, leading to higher price points on sales and much more competition. Now, this week what I want to do with you is I want to look at the difference between condos and houses. And the reason being is that right now a lot of the information we're seeing online and what we're seeing that we're using to educate ourselves is telling us that the market is not quite what it was a year prior. Now, that is true in certain aspects, but a lot of the information does refer to the market as a whole, and I do think it's important to distinguish between condos and houses. They're two very different segments, and they're doing two very different things. So let's jump right into it. Now, how we're going to distinguish between condos and houses is we're going to look at absorption rates. So what that means is basically a number tells us how long it will take to sell out of all of our inventory on market if no more inventory comes on the market. Now, if that number is less than 4 months, it's considered a seller's market. If it's 4 to 6 months, that's a balanced market. And anything above 6 months, that's considered a buyer's market. And we'll start by looking at houses. And what you'll notice right here with this graph on your screen, which is showing the last 12 plus months of activity, is that since about August is when we had the tipping point for the detached housing market. So back in August, we had, of course, introduction of the foreign buyer tax, which was a bit of a shocker to the market. And we jumped right from a balanced market up to 9.7 months of supply in the following month. And then that kind of dipped down as there were other changes happening in the marketplace. For example, the stress test that was announced, the vacant home tax, which was coming up. So the detached housing market had a lot of volatility, a lot of changes, and now we're at 8.9 months of supply. So it's come down from the very high activity that we had previously that went off the map, but we're still well in a buyer's market. Now, if we look at condos, the opposite end of the spectrum, yes, again, in August, when we had all those provincial changes happening, there was some volatility in the market. The market did slow down in its pace, but you can see that this entire duration, which you're seeing on your screen here, has stayed within a seller's market and well within it. In fact, we're now seeing a dip back into the lower numbers, deeper into a seller's market. We were 2.3 months supply in August when the first change was announced, the foreign buyer tax. Since then, we've kind of gone up. We hit a maximum of almost 3 months of supply, and now we've come back down. We're at 2.4 months of supply. So we're, for the first time, heading back to where we were pre-summer 2016, and we can certainly sense that in the marketplace. So the market is turning into what we call a spring market. A couple of tips for you if you're looking to sell right now. Consider your timeline. So if you have more time, if you want to test the waters, you very well may ask for a slightly higher price than what the comparables are suggesting, just because activity in marketplace is certainly leading towards higher numbers. So you can try a higher number, see what that gains in the marketplace. If you're in a short timeline, you have to be really on point with your pricing, do price strategically, have your marketing on point. If you're working with a professional, make sure the professional is putting and exposing a property in front of the right people. The more people you get in the front door to see your property, the more offers you're likely to get. Now, if you're buying, I know this doesn't sound very bright and cheery, but people are buying properties. You just have to be really strategic about it, and you have to be on top of it. So be on top of new properties that are coming in the market. Have all of your ducks in a row, so that includes your financing. Have your financing be rock solid. See a mortgage professional before you even start your home search, just so you know what you can afford. Make sure they can approve you in particular properties if you really want to write on them, and it will be a competitive situation. And do all of your homework before you end up in a multiple offer situation, so that you can go in with a leg up against the competition. Now, if you're thinking of buying or selling and you have questions or you need assistance, do feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help any way that I can. You can do so by calling or texting the number right below. And of course, if you like these videos, we do post here every week, so do check back next week, like this Facebook page, and I look forward to seeing you then. Until this time next week, have a wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye.